Okay, now South Africa's runaway doctor, Nandipha Magudumana, and two others are set to apply for bail in court tomorrow. This is about the part they played in the escape of convicted rapist and murderer Thabo Bester from the Mangaung correctional service in May last year. eNCA reporters Silindelo, Masikane and Moloto are in Bloemfontein this afternoon ahead of tomorrow's proceedings. Let's cross over to them now just to find out what's happening. Let me start with you, Silindelo. You are outside court. That's where the action will be tomorrow with Dr. Magudumana and the two others. What should we expect?
Certainly so. We're expecting yet another appearance by Dr. Nandipha and her co-accused. And you would have noticed that yesterday we had another statement released by the police stating that two more former G4S employees had been arrested, bringing the total number to 8. Now, in the previous appearance, we did see that Dr. Nandipha's father was granted bail of 10,000 Rand, so we're not expecting him in court. But following the bail applications, which are expected to take place over the next 2 days, we are expecting that all those that have been arrested will join Thabo Bester when he makes his appearance on the 16th of May. But just to unpack the legal proceedings that we're seeing unfolding, but in particular the bail applications that we're going to see starting tomorrow, I am joined by legal expert, advocate Alzine Bezadenhout from the law faculty of the University of the Free State. Thank you so much for your time, ma'am. Just take me through the expectations of a bail application. I would expect the state to be opposing these bail applications.
Thank you, Slee. Thank you for the privilege to be here today. We expect quite an uphill battle tomorrow for the bail applicant. One needs to remember that one of the charges are murder, or is murder, that she's been charged with. And murder under those circumstances could possibly be regarded as murder pre-planned, which resorts this crime under a Schedule 6 offence. That means that ultimately the bail applicant will have to prove to court that there's exceptional circumstances why it is in the interest of justice to permit her release on bail, which is more difficult than the normal circumstances one would expect in a bail hearing. Had it not been for the Schedule 6 offence, the murder, it would have been maybe a different story altogether.
Yeah. And in terms of the state, I'm sure they may want to show the court that she's a flight risk, perhaps.
So there are a number of considerations that the court take into account when considering whether it's in the interest of justice to release the applicant on bail. The grounds that the court consider is set out in section 60, subsection 4A to E, which consists of: will she likely endanger the life or safety of another person or the public in general? Will she evade a trial? Will she undermine the proper functioning of the criminal justice system? Will she conceal or destroy evidence? Those are the grounds that the court need to consider. And to consider those grounds, the applicant will have to adduce evidence to disprove factors which could be contributing to establish any one or all of those grounds.
Advocate, then maybe talk to me about how important it is for the state not to bungle this case. We know that, it's a high-profile case. All eyes are on the justice system to ensure that everybody who is responsible for what happened at the Mangaung Correctional Center is held accountable. We have a dead body recently identified, a family that's grieving, that needs to now figure out what happened to their child. Just how important is it then for the state to perhaps have very good prosecutorial skills handling this case?
I really think this will be a showcase case for the state. This has such high prominence all over, and all eyes are on us in this instance to prove that our justice system can carry the burden that it undertakes to bear. So we do hope that justice will prevail. We need to remember that tomorrow is only the bail application and that the court is not concerned at all with the guilt or innocence of any of the applicants appearing. One also needs to take that into account, and also that the investigation is still underway. As far as I recall information, I do not think it has been completed. But one also needs to take into account it will be 2 grueling days in court with evidence being led, cross-examination being expected. Also remember that the state cannot use hearsay evidence. At this stage, the court has more of an inquisitorial role to play as well. So the court can ask that evidence be adduced should the court not be satisfied that the court has enough evidence in front of it to decide the matter. So the court plays a very active role at this stage of the process as well. So the eyes are on the whole justice system.
Just lastly then, you lecture on criminal procedure, to a number of students at the University of the Free State. Just how important is this case in terms of case law moving forward?
Definitely important, definitely expecting questions to my students, if I had to say something. No, this is really important. I do think this showcases what we are capable of doing with our justice system and also what problems we have that should possibly be addressed by future generations of legal experts.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, that is Advocate Poseidon Hout from the University of the Free State, the law faculty to be exact, just unpacking the bail proceedings that we're going to see unfolding in the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court tomorrow. And of course, our colleague Moloto is at the Mangaung Correctional Center, Bradan, and I know that there's some news in terms of developments there.
Yes.
Back to you.
Yes, indeed, you are right, Silindelo, some news, and thank you very much for that preview of tomorrow's appearance in court of Dr. Magudumana and her co-accused. The news is, and I interviewed Crispin Piri a short while ago here, Moloko, on Today, the Department of Correctional Services serving a notice of termination to the company that's been running Mangaung Correctional Center, where you find yourself this afternoon, Moloko, ahead of tomorrow's court proceedings. And it's a 90-day notice period that's been given to G4S.
Well, good afternoon, Braden. Indeed, this particular facility continues to hawk the media headlines. Of course, this is where it all started last year in May, when Thabo Bester walked off with the assistance of the officials who worked in this facility, and he obviously was arrested about a year later, just a few weeks ago. And today, of course, as you are saying, this particular facility, the Department of Correctional Services, has decided that it is now terminating the contract with the Bloemfontein Correctional Services, the company it had appointed to manage this particular facility. Of course, we know it was operated by G4S Security Company. But I'm standing outside, of course, and I'm joined by a guest, Mr. Mrui Mpou. He was once an employee here at this facility, working as a program facilitator for the rehabilitation of offenders. Sir, thank you so much for your time. You say you worked here for about 10 years and you were expelled at some point. But before we even get into the issues that are bringing us here, you also with the community members tomorrow are organizing a march to this particular facility. Tell us more about it.
Okay, let me just correct one thing. Thank you for having me. I was not expelled. I resigned back in 2018. And another thing, yes, we are organizing a march, but the march won't be tomorrow. It will be announced before the end of this week as to when it's going to be. Now, the march deals with the feelings of the community and what has happened and what keeps on happening to this place. Remember, the employees that are working here are from the same community that you just passed when you came here. And at the very same time, this management must be held accountable. And we as a community, we feel that they should be management, DCS should actually have a position or open a criminal case against the management. Because once there's a dead corpse from the very same community that this company is supposed to be saving, it says something else about the very same management. So the grievance or the outcries of the people that I'm working with in this march is that they should be accountable as a management, because there's no way that they did not know that Bester was gone. Because when I spoke to some of my colleagues, the Broadway cell is over there. It is only having 3 items inside. There's a mattress, there's 1 pillow, and there's 1 blanket. Those 3 items cannot constitute that type of a fire that we were told about. So immediately when we heard about it, we only knew something was fishy here. So it was then, for them, they should have known immediately.
Well, thanks very much for the correction and my sincere apology. But for us as outsiders who do not have an idea of how this particular facility looks like, maybe paint us a picture about the possibility of somebody escaping here. What would it take for someone to leave this facility which looks so fortified?
I've worked here for 10 years, as I mentioned. For a person to get out, it needs quite a number of people. And as an investigation goes, I read the Ruth Hopkins' article on the participation of the people that were here. And that article itself, it is detailing what happened. To answer your question, for this type of operation, you need number of big people. That is number one. From here, you cannot see the Saliport door. After hours, after 5 o'clock, the operations manager will then have to give an authorization for that door to be opened, because it does not open afterwards unless it's an emergency. So you therefore need somebody in this level to can assist you. And these departments that are in charge of these night issues, the security department and operations department, and who's in charge? There's a person here that is a deputy director. That person is in charge of what? These 2 departments. So before these other things can happen, they must be first informed and understand that why is it opening, who's going to authorize it. So, but the mere fact that I'm saying big people are involved, immediately when they came the following morning and understood that there's no way that this is a suicide, they must, with immediate effect, instituted an investigation internally. But that did not take place.
All right. That is regarding somebody who would be escaping. But regarding somebody who would be smuggling in corpses, what would it take? Because one would think that anything that goes into any vehicle that goes into this facility must be searched.
That is correct. Then it means you need to have connection, if I can use that term. You need to be connected with people that are searching in that area. You need to organize people to allow you to move swiftly to the industries. Those are the departments where the corpse was held. You need to organize with those people. So it means somebody, or in this situation I can probably say the supervisor, then connected these people that around this time the vehicle will be passing and be there so that it can move swiftly. So all of the people have to play part.
All right, we don't have much time left, but I want to ask you this. You might have heard, obviously, that the Department of Correctional Services says that it's terminating the contract of the company managing this facility. There's about 507 employees who are working here. In your knowledge, in terms of the integrity of the entire facility, what do you think should happen to those employees?
It's easy to answer that question. The employees that are working here, it has been our dream. It has been our dream to be absorbed by DCS. So my position on it, these employees, is a plea. These employees that are working here, the junior employees, they must be absorbed by DCS, because it won't be fair. There's currently unemployment in South Africa. For you to put around 500 plus people without jobs when they are families, it will be painful. But for these employees that here, the plea from our side is that they must be absorbed by DCS.
Rui Mpo, thank you so much. He resigned from G4S Braden, where he worked for 10 years. And of course, as you heard, he wants the top managers and the senior managers of this facility to also be held criminally responsible for the whole saga involving Thabo Bester.
Yeah, indeed, Moloko. And he's been consistent. I interviewed him at the height of the scandal erupting about Thabo Bester here on eNCA, he said the same thing, that somebody higher up in that prison has to be held accountable as well. Thank you very much, Moloko Moloto, outside the famous or infamous Mangaung Correctional Center because of what Thabo Bester has done. And Silindelo Masikane outside the Magistrates Court, where all action will resume tomorrow morning as Dr. Nandipha Magudumana and her co-accused appear in court in a bail application. It's going to be interesting. Thank you very much, colleagues, for that update. Both of them, of course, in Mangaung in Bloemfontein, the city of roses.